Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me well. So I'll start with a brief introduction of GMDN for those of you who are not so familiar with it. So we are the organization that maintains the standard for categorizing medical devices, or naming and grouping devices by type. And we have a dynamic database where we entry new concepts regularly to cover the new devices on the market. In terms of access to GMDN, there are different options for different stakeholders. So regulators, governments, healthcare providers, conformity assessment bodies have free access to the whole of the codes and data in the GMDN. And then there's a few other options for manufacturers, for industry, with paid and free options as well. So we are a globally recognized independent organization, a non-profit with the charity status here in the UK. And we are used in several different regulators around the world in different countries, namely in the first UDI system that's used in the United States, FDA Good ID database. And we are guided by mainly by regulators, by industry, and other stakeholders that provide guidance to us on a regular basis. So GMDN is across the world. Here you can see a brief illustration of the number of countries using GMDN at the moment. So countries that have access to GMDN or are members of us, of our organization. So 70% of the countries in that situation. And as you can see, there's many regulators, government departments that across the world are using GMDN for different for their activities to different degrees. Not going for, here you go. So I'll go through the nomenclature and data structure that we have here at GMDN. I'll start with terms. Terms are the concepts that describe devices at the most granular level in the GMDN. Each term has a code, a name which is unique and as descriptive as possible, and the definition. And the definition is based on primarily the intended use of each device. And then he also lists a series of other attributes which are significant for grouping devices by type, either technology, materials, its form or components, and then a series of clinically significant attributes. For example, if it's implantable or not, if it has pharmaceuticals in it or not, that is, if it's a combination product or not. For example, use frequency, power, if it's electrically powered or not, and a series of other significant attributes. So the main mission of our technical work is to group devices by type in a way that they can be that data can be used for analysis and for inventory management. So the terms complete, or they form a list of a flat list of terms. We have 25,000 terms active at the moment. And this list is not hierarchical. Each code has a five-digit number, and all terms are mutually exclusive, which is one of the most important features of our data, because it means that it allows a clear and appropriate grouping without overlap between the concepts, which enables proper device data analysis. Of course, they are well defined because they have a definition which provides those important details about the device's descriptions. So these terms, they belong or they are organized into different hierarchical categories. So we have basically two main data sets, terms and categories. The categories are used for organizing the terms and the devices by different attributes, by different categories. Let's say the three main or the most important three headers, three categories that we have are device function, anatomical specialty, and names, and then a series of other categories that allow grouping devices by other attributes, like if it's implantable, if it has power, if it's single user reusable, and so on. So these different levels of granularity enable the different analysis at different levels. Each category also has its name, its definition, and a code, and it can be considered a more stable static data set because it doesn't change really that often. So here we give you an example of how to name a group a medical device. We picked one of the examples where the nomenclature is more challenging to maintain because there are a lot of variety of dressings in the market, as you will know, with very fine differences between them in some cases. So whether they form a film, whether they are adherent to the wound beds, whether they have antimicrobial properties or not, and so on. So, for example, in this case, so on the left here, we see the categories where a specific term is linked, or so this term, synthetic polymer semi-permeable film dressing, is linked to the category of semi-permeable film dressings. And as you can see, this is a polyhierarchical structure of categories where you see one hierarchy, two hierarchies, three hierarchies, and so on. Device function, anatomical specialty, names index, and one same category may appear in the different headers because it belongs there, in fact. So all terms in the GMDN will be linked to a device function because all devices have a device function. And most of terms also will have a link to anatomical specialty, although of course there are some devices that are not dedicated to anatomical specialty. And the names index is also a useful grouper to find terms and devices by their names. So as you can see, this category has a series or a few terms linked to it, and you can browse through our system to find your terms of interest. If you click on the term on the term name, you will be able to read the definition. Here it's another example of another term and how it belongs, how it is linked to different categories. In this case, so a lung MRI xenon hyperpolarization system is linked to anesthesia and ventilation devices, also to magnetic resonance imaging equipment, and in anatomical specialty, it belongs in pulmonary devices. So under device function, it can be linked to more than one category. So it will be linked to the appropriate categories where it belongs. And then, of course, to the series of attributes that help to describe the device. In terms of access to GMDN, well, this slide here, we can skip it and we can go through into defining the right GMDN term, how we go about searching terms in the database. But before that, importantly, so if you are a distributor, you do not really need to be a member of GMDN, and you should ask the original manufacturer of the devices that you are supplying for the GMDN term. So they will be able to give you that data. If the original manufacturer does not have the GMDN codes, then yes, please register with us and you can search for the devices in our platform. In terms of manufacturers, and if there are several secondary offices, you should ask your head office for the GMDN terms in case they have it. So manufacturers can search for the terms in the database after registering as a member. Of course, most of you, or if not all, will already be our members. We can go through a demo in a few minutes. For that, we can share with you how to navigate the website to find the terms. This is the start page, and you can see where you can basically go to the main sections of the website to find terms, to look for terms in the categories, or to place an inquiry in case you cannot find a product. And then you can, so once you've got your term, you get it you add it to your account, and then you can use it, and you will be able to manage the terms that you have added to your account in your My Terms page. Also importantly, you will be receiving alerts for terms that have been modified if you want to, because you can opt in or opt out. So the search page is a simple search engine where you can use full words or part words to search for your terms. For example, in this case, you can use you will be searching for ventilator. You can select the language of choice. We have a few languages available. So the ventilator, it returns the results based on the presence of that word on the term name as well as the definition. And here you can add those terms to a short list, which is essentially a shopping, not shopping, but a little basket for you to review the terms before you add them to your account. You can add as many as you want to that short list. You can also visit the term details. And of course, just to remind you, there is training under help that you can access to familiarize yourself with this information. So if you go to the term details page, this is where you see some of the details about the term, whether it's active or not, create date, modify dates, and then you can get code. If you click on get code, this term will be added to your account. And there are a few other functions that I will be talking about later. You can also see it in different languages, if available. And at the end here, you can see all the categories where this term belongs. And by doing that, you can find related terms to this particular term, which you will find useful. We have a second area where you can do term searches, which is the hierarchical tree. So we call it advanced search, where you browse through the categories to find your groups of interest. So as well here we have options for language and a few other filters that you can use to improve your search. In this case here, if we search for a category for ventilators, we can you can see that there are a few of them because they are placed on different headers on the tree. And for example, you have the same ventilators category in the different headers. If you hover over, you will be able to see the definition for that particular category. And importantly, recently we have launched an important feature which enables you to do multiple category selection. So have that in mind when you are browsing through the tree, because if you click on one category and if you do not unclick it, it will be still be selected as you go along selecting others. And this enables you to do customized searches. So for example, if we don't have a particular category that covers your interest, for example, if you're looking for cardiovascular devices which are implantable, then you can select those two categories, and you will be able to see the results on the right hand side for those terms. So for example here, ventilators, and you see the terms on the right hand side. You can filter the results by words. If you, for example, if you want to search for ventilator, you can select the word ventilator, and then you will be able to see the results on the right hand side for those terms. So for example here, ventilators, and you see the terms on the right hand side. You can filter the results by words. If you, for example, if you want to search for the use this filter here. And importantly, we have this function of show subgroup terms, which means that if you select it, you'll only be seeing the terms linked to the parent category and not to the categories that are child to this category. So it's a very useful filter there. There is another function that I would like to tell you about, which is the My categories. So recently we also launched a new functionality. This allows users, such as manufacturers and others regulated as well, any user, in fact, to add categories of interest to a favorite list of categories. Basically, you just click on you select the category, you click on My category, and you will be able to add it to your favorite list. This means that if you activate your notifications for My category, you will receive notifications of new terms added to the categories in your My category list, or terms that have been modified that belong to that particular category. So that's a useful functionality. So this is the functionality that I was telling you about. For example, if you are interested in middle ear implant systems, you go to that category, you click on My category. It has been added to your My categories. You can visit it on this section of My categories. So this is the view of the manufacturers. And here you can see all the categories that are in your My categories, which I just added this one. And you can visit the terms linked to that particular category. You can export them. And if you want to receive those notifications, you go to My profile and you select term changes for My categories. There's also a very useful functionality that we added recently. In this case, for regulators and also for conformity assessment bodies or hospital or healthcare providers, which is the custom category. So this functionality allows the user to create their own category, where you just click on new item, you give it a new name. For example, oh, can you see that? Implantable cardio devices. You create save, and then if you go to the advanced search, you will be able to select all the terms of interest of, let's say, cardiovascular devices which are implantable. And on the right-hand side, you have 186 terms. If you select all of them, you can then click on custom category and select the custom category that you've created, save, and then all those terms will be there for you to visualize and to export if you want. So very useful functionality that we have here for creating customized specific groups of devices for your different needs. I'll go back to the presentation, which is here. Can you confirm you've seen it? Yes, all good. So in terms of data evolution, as I said, GMDN is a dynamic database where new devices are added to it on a constant basis. Some term names and definitions may change, which means that that term has been expanded to include a variation of that device type. However, importantly, the GMDN code of that term does not change. So changes only affect the name and definition, not the codes. Half of the terms in the database currently are general medical devices, and the other half are in vitro diagnostic, IVDs. And of course, as I said, it's an important activity of us to be constantly in touch with the industry, with regulators to create and maintain the concepts in the database. New terms are added. So yearly, it represents about 1% of new terms in the database, 2% of expanded concepts, and sometimes terms are removed, so they are inactivated or made obsolete and replaced with alternatives to better represent the device groups. Sorry. So this exactly illustrates that what I just said. So new terms, expand existing terms, or obsolete terms are the three main actuators, let's say, of the database. There is a page called My Terms page, where you can manage the terms that you have added to your account. And I have a few functionalities here. So language choice, we have active or obsolete that you can select. And importantly, you can export the files in your My Terms. So if you click on export, you'll see all the terms that you have added to your account, which is useful, into XML files. The EMDN button is a file that gives you a best match EMDN term to the GMDN term. So be reminded that a full mapping of GMDN and EMDN does not exist and is not recommended because of the different granularities, the different data structures between the two different nomenclatures. So this service that we provide is essentially a best match to your GMDN terms. You can also export the list of your obsolete terms, where you'll find the respective alternatives or replacements in that file. Okay, so in terms of finding the alternatives to the obsolete terms, there's a different ways to go about it. You can use that export file. So importantly, you also receive notifications by email and in your account about term changes and obsoletions if you have opted in. And you can use the export. You can also visit the term details page of the term that has become obsolete, where you will be able to see the alternative terms listed, as you can see here at the bottom. And also the categories. You can use the categories, again, to find the related terms for the obsolete term, and in most cases, the alternative terms will belong to the same category as the obsolete term. And this is to facilitate you finding those alternatives. My profile page, which I showed you before, where you can opt in or opt out for the term changes notifications and for my categories, and a few other boxes here that you can select. So of course, we recommend that you turn on the term changes and term changes for my categories to be aware of the term changes and the actions that you need to do, if any. So keep that in mind, please. And now I will pass on to my colleague, Vas.
Thanks for joining. My name is Vas. I'm working as a nomenclature developer for the GMDN Agency, and today I will provide you guidance on how you can assign appropriately the GMDN terms to your devices, and also I'm going to explain why the correct GMDN term assignments are important for data quality and for further downstream use. So to begin with, I will mention the golden rule that we have with GMDN, that says each device, when it is sold separately, and with sold separately, I mean when it is applied under its own product code, which could be a barcode or a UDI/DI number or a stock keeping unit, for example. So each device that is supplied separately should be assigned to only one GMDN term that accurately represents that device. And even though this rule seems obvious, it's not always easy to follow. And we have seen over the years that there are various misassignments that are taking place, and I will try to explain how you can avoid these misassignments. So a common misassignment has to do with the system terms. So systems are assemblies of components, and they are typically capital goods equipment that are typically connected with each other. For example, cardiac cryosurgical systems or electroencephalographic monitoring systems or full body CT scanners. So these are systems and they are supplied with all the components that are necessary. They're supplied together under one product code. So these should be these assemblies of components, the complete assemblies of components, they should be assigned to a system term that actually describe this complete assembly. Apart from the system terms, we have also kit and set terms. So these kit and set terms describe collections of devices or items, and they are usually consumable single-use products or convenient collection of devices that are used in procedures. For example, they can be surgical procedure kits or intravenous administration sets with different single-use components, and each of these kits and sets, they are supplied again together under one product code to be sold as one product. And these kits and sets need to be assigned to the respective kit and set terms that describe the complete assemblies. So, as I mentioned, only products that exist as a system, kit, or set at the point of sale under one product code should be assigned to the GMDN term that describes that system, kit, or set. So, but there are cases where these components are supplied individually, so not as a complete system. So in that case, these individual components should be assigned to the respective component term, to the term that describes that component, not to the complete system term. So I'll go on with an illustration of this situation, of this configuration. So a system, we can see in this example, a system that is applied together under one product code with all the components needs to be assigned to a system term, so which is in this example is a cardiac mapping system. And in case this assembly is applied with all the components individually, supplied under their own product codes, then a component term is appropriate for each of these components. So we have in this example some component terms that would be hypothetically in this assembly the appropriate term. So we have a system computer term, a system switch box, a system reference patch, and a system electrode array. So these are the component terms that are appropriate for the component products that are supplied individually. So if you need further guidance for this and for various other topics, just to mention that we have a lot of training material under the help drop-down menu in our on our website. So why this? This is another illustration of these configurations. So we are looking to group like this, as you see in this example. So in the middle picture, you can see that all the different MRI scanners are grouped under a full body MRI system term, provided that they are supplied together. And then in the other pictures of this slide, we can see that the different components, when they are supplied individually, they are grouped each one under a component term. So the MRI system table, system synchronizer, and on the right side, the system coil. So each of the component is supplied, is assigned under a component term. So why is this important, and we insist on this? Is that when these devices are grouped appropriately, as I have shown in these slides, then the device groups are a lot more accurate with more accurate boundaries. So there are accurate device groups with a similar or identical intended use for each group, and this can help a lot with downstream data analysis and effective communication of devices, because otherwise So we are not looking to group like as you see here. So here I have an example where there is a full body MRI system term, and it groups all the different systems plus the components. But we firmly believe that this is not an appropriate way of grouping the medical devices because it doesn't allow for effective data analysis if there is an issue or information that needs to be exchanged between these devices. Because all these devices, even though they are roughly similar, they don't serve the same, they don't have the same technology with each other, and they don't serve the same purpose within the assembly. So if I go, so the system has a different technology and different intended use from the components of each system that serve a purpose within the assembly. Besides the systems and the components and the kits, there are other devices that are often misassigned that I'm going to explain now, and these are the parent devices when they are packaged together with accessories and supportive devices under the same product code. So in such cases, again, a single GMDN needs to be assigned to this package, essentially, to this device. And you have to keep in mind that in such cases where the parent device is a lot more important than the accessories that are supplied, that is supplied with, the term may not have a name of a system or kit or set, but it may be named after the parent device. And this can differ from the trade names that may be using to promote your products. So many manufacturers, they may supply, let's say, there's some examples. Examples of these configurations can be capital equipment, such as monitors that are supplied with non-patient contact cables, or they can be orthopedic implantable plates, as you see in the picture on the right, that are supplied with bone screws under the same product code, or they can be implantable stents that are supplied with a catheter that delivers the stent. So in such cases where the primary component is a lot more important for that use than the accessories, the term may more likely have the name of the parent device rather than a system, kit, or term. So here, for the stent, for example, an appropriate term would be a stent-based term, not a system term. If you see this example, we have a hypothetical assignment of a drug-eluting coronary artery stent term, and we tend to use a phrasing in the definition where we say disposable devices associated with implantation, such as the delivery catheter, may be included with the stent under the same product code. So moving on to another type of misassignment is when the accessories and the supportive devices are supplied individually, separately from the parent device. Then in these cases, these accessories need to be assigned to an accessory GMDN term, not to the parent device. As an example, I have these axillary crutches. So when these are supplied all together under the same product code, they need to be assigned to an axillary crutch term. But when the crutch pad of the crutches is supplied individually, it needs to be assigned to a crutch pad term that refers to that specific device, not to the parent device term. Moving on, another source of misassignment is related to the multi-purpose devices. So these are devices that have multiple intended use, the same device that has multiple intended use. And these, again, need to be assigned to a single GMDN term that describes that device and all its uses. It should not be assigned to multiple GMDN terms that represent each one of the intended uses. So, apart from these sources of misassignment, I have to mention the essential attributes that some devices have. And we describe these, we include these essential attributes in our nomenclature. So when a device has any of these particular essential attributes, it should be assigned to a term that mentions explicitly that essential attribute. So what are these attributes? One is the regulatory classification. So if the device is an in vitro diagnostic device, it needs to be assigned to a term that mentions specifically in the name IVD. Another one is the use setting. So a home use device that is intended to be, that can be used by a patient or lay person, it needs to mention explicitly that the device is home use. Another essential attribute is the implantability. So the implantable devices need to mention that they are implantable. The term has to mention that that the devices are implantable. Another one is the invasiveness. So the GMDN term needs to mention that the device is invasive. The power input. So if the device is active, the term needs to mention that it is active, and the way of power input. So if it's, let's say, electrically powered or pneumatically powered, for example, it needs to mention that. Then the use frequency. The term needs to mention whether the device is single use versus reusable. Now, there are some exceptions here. If there is capital equipment that is obviously a reusable device, sometimes the reusable is omitted, but typically there will be a single use or reusable reference in the term. Going on with a list of the essential attributes, it's the clinically significant materials that we have to mention typically for the implantable and invasive devices and wound care devices. So these significant materials that need to be mentioned are human-derived, animal-derived, microbe-derived, or inorganic materials. Also, the pharmaceuticals and drug-device combination devices. So if the device has such attributes and includes pharmaceuticals, it needs to be mentioned in the term. If the device has antimicrobial properties, which is a bit related to the pharmaceutical, and if the device is bioabsorbable, the bioabsorbable attribute needs to be mentioned in the term. The patient specificity, so if a device is custom made, it needs to be assigned to the term that explicitly mentions that the device is custom made. And also, at the moment, I think these are the essential attributes, but in the future, depending on any new risks that may come up in the world, there may be a need for additional device attributes that they will become clinically significant, and we'll have to adapt our terms accordingly so as to accommodate these new essential attributes that will come up. So moving on from the essential attributes to our code of good practice. So these are guidelines for you to try to maintain high quality in your GMDN term assignments. So what we recommend is to have a global approach with respect to the nomenclature and your GMDN term assignments. And what I mean is to have one master user, GMDN account, who will be in charge of all the activities that are related to the GMDN terms. So that would be a master user that has all the necessary permissions to act in relation to the GMDN activities. So that master user does not need to be an expert that knows all the products, but it can be a person who will be in charge, and that person will be able to assign sub-users that will be able to be allocated some of the tasks. And these sub-users will have the appropriate set users permission, for example, to be able to purchase terms or to submit inquiries and receive notifications. So the notifications is another factor that we recommend to keep your notifications, to tick the relevant options on your web page, on your account page, so as to be able to receive the notifications for term edits and term obsolescence and act accordingly in a timely manner. We encourage you doing the training. We have enough training material at the moment, and we're planning to add more on our website. I believe it's under the help option in the drop-down menu. It is in the form at the moment of user guides and videos. We cover a lot of aspects of the GMDN use in our training material. We encourage you to do the training and get familiar with the different guidelines and how we recommend you using our terms. And as I mentioned, to maintain communication with us, with the notifications by ticking all the boxes related to the notifications. And also we have the inquiry service. So if you cannot find a term for your product, or in case you are unsure, we have the inquiry service where you can submit an inquiry, and we'll do our best to adapt our nomenclature so as to cover your device as soon as possible. So going on again for the code of good practice, we have an illustration of our code of good practice in this flowchart on the right, but I won't go further into detail. At the moment, you can have a look if you want at your own time. I'll just mention a couple of things, a couple of essential information that occurs from the flowchart. We believe that the GMDN data should be dynamic. So whenever you realize that your term assignment is not appropriate, you should be able to make changes in your term assignment and update your records with the appropriate GMDN terms. Because we live in a dynamic world, and the medical device industry is dynamic, so the terms cannot remain static in a dynamic world. That's why the GMDN data is dynamic, and whenever there are changes and the GMDNs evolve, we believe that the users need to follow with these changes and make the right GMDN term assignments for the correct downstream use. Yes, as I mentioned, we suggest you reviewing and updating your GMDN term assignments on regular intervals. We believe that the GMDN terms, each GMDN term is a part of your product. Your GMDN term assignment is a part of your product, along with the other product item master data, such as the UDI, DI number, for example. So we believe that this is a part of your product. And as I mentioned, the data quality, the GMDN term assignments are important for downstream use. So when the term assignments are appropriate and the device groups are accurate, there will be an efficient information exchange about the medical devices, and there can be efficient data analysis on the medical device. And there are various uses of the GMDN terms already. For example, in signal detection. So when there is a fault or a certain issue with a device that belongs to a particular group, all the devices that belong to that group are also flagged. And there are also other uses such as procurements. So it is very useful for the term assignments to be appropriate, because in procurements, for example, when there are alternative devices that need to be purchased, these are reviewed within the same group of devices that all belong under the same term. So when the term assignments are correct, there are a lot higher chances for your product to be picked up in procurements. And there are also, we are aware that regulators currently review term assignments and ask for the users to update the term assignments when these are not correct. So that's all from me. I'm passing on to Tori.
So I'm logged on as a manufacturer, but I know there are lots of different member types on the call. So I'll try and let you know as we go through the bits that are applicable or not. So I just want to talk to you about keeping your data up to date, just to make sure that we've got all the details up to date and you receive the information that you need from us. So first of all, I would want to take you to this top area here where you've got the user icon and you'll have your name. This is the area that you'll go to sort of manage all your accounts and all the information within the account. So if we start with the information for yourself, it's under My Profile. Just make sure, obviously, this is all correct. And if you do need to change your email address, then you'd come in here and just make the changes under this section. Once you've done this and saved, you will get a system generated email that will just ask you to verify your new email address. So once that's done, then you'll be able to get access again. But the access isn't given until the link is clicked. So just sort of keep an eye on that. Sometimes it can end up in spam. So just to have an idea of that. And then this is the area that Vas and Louise have talked about earlier, that you would need to just click your boxes here. And just to go over again, the term changes, have that ticked because you'll get an email sent to you if there are any changes that are made to the terms on the account and the My Terms section. So if there's anything that's made obsolete, etc., you'll get a notification of that. And this will be for the paid accounts to have that. Then, as Louise said about the term changes for the categories, you'll get any notifications about the changes to that area. The account summary. So if you want to have an option to receive a summary of what's happening within your account, you know, how long before your account expires, that kind of thing, this is where you would tick. And then the GMDN focus. This is monthly updates and GMDN news that may be of interest to you. So do always click save, because once you change the page, it won't stay otherwise. So that was where you would look after your own bits and pieces. But if you need to change anything to do with the company, go back into this area here and you would select your organization. So you may have an organizational name change, you might have an address change. That's all handled in this section. If you're a paid member and you want to add your VAT number, that's where you would do that as well. So all quite straightforward, and click save. Now that was keeping yours and your company details up to date, but there may be opportunities for you to, or needs for you to add other members, as Vas just touched on, to the account. So we have like one main account. So this is for all the accounts apart from basic accounts, because basic is just a single use account. So to do that, again, you would click into your name at the top and you would go to the users section. The first thing to note is that if you've got the user's permission, so if you under permissions here, if you've got the user's permission, then you can actually do this. But without that, it's not possible to add a new user. The first thing to have a look at is how many user credits you've got. So every time you add a user, this obviously the numbers drop here. So I've got 3, so I can add another one, that's fine. But if you need more, just click the link and it will send you to a contact form, and you can just send us an email and let us know how many you need. And there's no limit. So, you know, if you ask for 5 today and 10 next week, that's absolutely fine. We'll just add them on for you and let you know. But in this case, we've got 3, so I can add a new user. So again, all very straightforward. Fill in the details. The username and the email address are the same. So, you know, expect to see that there. There doesn't need to be a separate username added. Now, this is the permissions section. This is where we can enable colleagues to perform certain tasks. So there are 6 different categories of these permissions, and you can select none of them, all of them, some of them. But just to go through, if you've got the archive permission enabled on your account, that means that you can move terms from the list of terms that have been downloaded onto your account, particularly if you're a paid member. And you can move, if something, for example, has been made obsolete and you don't want it showing on your account, you just need to pop it in the archive. There's a button that you can click to put it in archive. It won't move it completely off, and you can also, if you've made a mistake, you can put it back on again, but it'll just take it out of view when you're looking at My Terms. The categories, as Louise has spoken about earlier, it allows you to add, edit, change things in the My Category or the custom category pages. Inquiry allows you to be able to submit an inquiry. Again, you know, if you can't find a suitable term that accurately describes your device and you need some help, fill in an inquiry form, but you will need that permission. Orders, that allows you to renew your membership, so you do need to have that permission. The terms, to download the terms off the database. And users, as I've just sort of shown, you do need to have that to add users. So you can just have whatever you need on there, whatever tasks you need to do to make sure that your colleagues can do everything that they need. You won't be able to fill this in for them. That is for them to go in and log in under their My Profile section and select. So you just click save on this. to keep it all. But if you find that once you've clicked save, you get an error message that sort of shows to you like an invalid email address or something, it usually means that that email address is registered somewhere else on the account, on the database. So it might be that they've got a basic account already and you just want to put them on the main account and you're not able to do that. So just drop us a line. We'll probably just close that basic account, free up the email address for you so that you can add it onto this main account. And then once you've clicked save and everything goes through okay, they will receive an email that they'll need to validate their email address. And until they've done that, they won't be able to get permission to access the database. So again, it's just worth letting them know that it's on its way and just checking that it's not in their spam, which it sometimes tends to be. Also, just check as well that your users have got, it is just worth having a check anyway, just make sure that all the users have got what they need, whether you're adding new ones or not. If, for example, you need to delete a user, maybe they don't need to work on a project anymore or they've left the company or something, then if you go back into the users section and just find the user that needs to be amended and just click on edit at the end here, scroll down and you'll see that it's got archive at the bottom. So that will not delete it entirely from the system, but it will move it into the background so that you won't be able to see it on your list of users. But it means that if they do need to come back at a later date, just again, get in touch with us and we can take them out of archive and add them back onto the system. And if they have not managed to get to that link, that verify their email address link within 24 hours, because there is a time limit on it, you can send them another one. You can click that confirm email button and that will send them another link with the 24 hours on there. So to have a quick snapshot of your account, go to the alert section here at the top. That will give you an idea of just what's happening at a quick glance to your account. You can see expire and how many days it expires, code credits you need, and user credits here. So the code credits, if you are a paid account, you'll have code credits that are relevant for the account that you've signed up for. Every account's got different amounts. And if you use all those up, then you'll need to get some more, and just click on the link, which will send you to a message screen for us to get in touch with you. And it'll probably be that you have to upgrade to the next member level. And if you're a basic account, you'll have to upgrade to a paid manufacturer membership. Again, the user credits, as I've mentioned, click on here, we can sort that out for you. And to renew your membership, there are 3 different ways you can access it. It all goes to the same screen. So you can click on the buy membership here. You can, when you log on, you can go to your homepage, just click the renew button here. And also under the orders section here, it will also take you to a button where you can click to buy the membership, and it will just funnel you down and you'll just need to follow the prompts. It's quite a straightforward process, but again, any problems, just come to myself or Caroline and we can help you with that. And lastly, just to retouch on again, training under the help here, training and video user guides. You've got lots here to choose from, whether you want to watch a video or you want to get the user guides. It's all here for you. But there's also the option of contacting myself or Caroline with an email, phone call, and we can help you